out of Stroud this season. Last two games, a plus 30-point differential, getting to the good graces in turnovers as well as the Texans quiet some of those concerns. Back with the Mac in studio to assess what we saw, and obviously great play there from CJ Stroud. We'll go there, but I do want to start with what is wrong with this version of the Baltimore Ravens. This game sort of amplified some of those things. Injuries, no defensive stop, no real run game to show for it, and now 1-4. Do you see a road back, or is this what the 2025-26 Ravens are?
This is what the 2025 Baltimore Ravens defensively, this is the type of unit I think we should expect to see. Because even before the massive injuries that have been more recently, let's go back to when they were healthy. They surrendered 40-plus points to the Buffalo Bills in a ball game where they had a nice lead on the road week one. And then you look at what has transpired since then. 38 points to Detroit, 37 to Kansas City last week, and 44 to the Houston Texans. If you haven't been watching NFL so far this season, offensively, the Houston Texans had no explosion plays. They were very inconsistent. They couldn't protect C.J. Stroud. But when you play against the Baltimore Ravens, most recently, it's a get-right moment for that said offense. We saw that last week with the Kansas City Chiefs. They put 37 points on the scoreboard. So now when you look at all the injuries that have been associated with the Baltimore Ravens, I think this is what you need to expect to see. Offensively, you will have to outscore the opponent, because until I see otherwise, this defense, there are a lot of holes on this defense. All three levels, they don't tackle well. There are issues in zone droppage. You look at the coverage side of things, they're not creating turnovers. You can just have your way with the Baltimore Ravens defensively, and that's a hard thing to say when you look at, historically speaking, what defense has meant to that said organization.
It's one of those places that take pride in it. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Chicago. If the defense isn't there, you're not likely to have an offense that's going to outpace some of those inefficiencies. When you look at the defensive performance this year, they've allowed 41-17 to the Browns, 38-37, and now 44. There is absolutely no stop. But let's give some flowers as well to C.J. Stroud and this Houston offense, because just 3 weeks ago, we're sitting here saying, can they protect him? Is CJ starting to see some of those ghosts? Is it starting to build bad habit? And over the last 2 weeks, we've seen all that we lauded about CJ Stroud through his first two seasons. 23 of 27, 244, 4 touchdowns, gets the legs going. How important have these last 2 weeks been for Stroud in that offense?
Watching CJ Stroud today, if I didn't know any better, I would have thought we were the year 2023.
Rookie season Stroud?
His rookie season Stroud. I mean, 4 touchdowns, only 4 incompletions, north of 240 yards through the air, comfortable. And CJ, run the football more. It's okay, because when you do that,
I think you called for that.
I've been calling for that, especially when you look at some of the mishaps that we were seeing on the offensive line. The best way to help an offensive line out that has been struggling, run the football, improvise, whatever the case may be, because we know they're not calling quarterback design runs for you, CJ. Okay, we understand that. But you have the ability to do what you did today, here or there in moments of a ball game that gets the flow of the offense going. And also, as a defender, now we have to account for that opportunity when it presents itself for you to run the football. And outside of that, look at the running game. Kudos to the offensive line. When you guys get back to Houston, you deserve a big bucket of barbecue, chicken, brisket, whatever the case may be, because not only did you protect your quarterback well, you set up running lanes for whoever the runner was running the peel. 167 yards on the ground. They averaged over 5 yards per carry. That is winning football. If you go back to the first three ball games, they couldn't run the football at all. They couldn't sustain any positivity with running the football. You remember what made them so successful? Joe Mixon and how they ran the football. Today, they got back to that identity, and we saw what we thought we would see from Houston today to start the season off was balance. C.J. Stroud looking like the old C.J. Stroud and finding ways to close the ball game with the running game.
Not going to devalue it, but it's a bit of a diner menu defense for the Ravens. You can have whatever you want against this Ravens team. They can't rush the passer. They can't stop the run. And Stroud, in turn, turns it into an 80% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Just the second player in Houston Texans history to accomplish that feat. Let's close with a thought here on the Baltimore Ravens, because we're 1-4. Big time expectations to take that next step this season and find yourself on a championship Sunday, find yourself on a Super Bowl Sunday. They're looking at the Rams, the bye, and then the Bears. If you're going into the bye 1-5, we can waive bye. What does Coach Harbaugh need to get the most out of a group that's going to be dinged up still next week?
Well, it sounds like you're going to be missing your star quarterback in Lamar Jackson once again. I, for one, if you're going to play without Lamar Jackson, it's time to bring in Snoop Huntley, who's been a part of this organization for a while. He's been serviceable, given the opportunity. I think he fits their offense more so than Cooper Rush. And defensively, man, you're going to give up a lot, I think, in between the 20s. But if they can just focus on playing great red zone defense, having offense to settle for 3 points, that might be a window of hope for them to weather the storm until their star quarterback gets into that desperation time for Baltimore when you look at the playoff side of things, right?
I love that message. Hey, fellas, they're going to drive at 60. Just bow up.
Yeah.
Just bow up after they drive 60.
Elbow defense, bend but don't break. Because I don't think they have, in terms of the injuries, they don't have the dues they need to have to be able to play at a high level in between the 20s. So, yes, you might give up a few things, but when we get into the red zone, we have to play our best defense. You got to play elbow defense. Your elbow, it bends, but it will not break. And that's what they got to implement until they get healthier. Because as you guys witnessed today, it's going to be a long season if they don't find a way to correct their.
I'll tell you this much: it is breaking for your Steelers in that division with all that's transpiring. Different conversation for a different day.
We applaud their problems.
Is for the struggles of the Baltimore Ravens. Look at that schedule again: Rams by Bears, then a short week to Thursday Night Football against the Dolphins. Some winnable games in there if you want to point to the Bears and the Dolphins right now. The Vikings, Browns, and Jets before a whole bunch of divisional football coming home. Steelers twice in 5 weeks. The Packers, Pats, and Bengals mixed in.
With our crew here, we got Pete Prisco, Rand Carthon, and Damian Harris with us. I feel like we got to talk about Carson Wentz coming back from injury, playing for the team that he loved. What'd you like from him today, Pete?
Look, when you go out with an injury, and look, he's had injury history, so automatically you go, oh no, there he goes again. But he came back into the game, had an injured shoulder, and when he had to drive his team to the winning touchdown, he did it. And that's the sign of a quarterback you want on your team late in the game. Look, he's not going to be the long-term quarterback. We know that. He's probably going to the bench the next game. But for this game, he made it happen in the fourth quarter, and he made it happen on the game-winning drive. That's all you can ask about your quarterback.
Yeah, and I thought Carson Wentz did a good job of just capsizing the moment. And when you look at this offense, they're averaging 16.5 points per game with J.J. McCarthy, 30 points per game with Carson Wentz. Then you go down to pass yards per game, 127 a game with J.J. McCarthy, 245 with Carson Wentz. So I think if anything, it's this. You have an offense that can run well even with a backup quarterback. Now it's about bringing J.J. McCarthy back up to speed, getting his mind processing the information pre-snap and post-snap, and then getting him to run the offense and produce the similar numbers that we've seen from Carson Wentz over the past couple games.
Well, let's look at the other side. Dylan Gabriel, I felt like he had an okay game, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, Ran.
Yeah, they managed it well, right? They didn't ask him to throw the ball a ton downfield. And we talk about it a lot on this show, tongue-in-cheek, but it's real. They have the formula. You have a young running back in Quinshon Judkins who had 23 carries today, went over 100 yards. Like, he is the catalyst of this offense, and you have a really good defense. You have to be willing to just use that formula, allow the quarterback to take good care of the football, put him in, high percentage pass situations and take care of the ball, and turn around, hand the ball off. That'll shorten the game for the other team's offense and allow your defense to get more rest. And then we saw their first touchdown came after their defense forced a fumble and got the ball with a short field.
Yeah, it wasn't too big for him. And that's what you wanted to see, because everybody said, and we were all probably guilty of it, you're playing Brian Flores' defense, which is so complicated in so many looks, and he handled himself. And that's a good sign for the Cleveland Browns. He went out there. It wasn't, like you said, gaudy numbers, but he handled the moment. And that's what I wanted to see. Was it too big for him? And it wasn't. So moving forward, they got to have some optimism about him. But eventually, they got to let him go a little bit, too. You got to let him go. You can't play quarterback scared, which a lot of teams in this league now do, but you got to let him go.
Especially because he's got some weapons. I mean, we saw what Njoku did today. They're still trying to figure out how to get Jerry Jeudy acclimated in this offense and get him going. But then again, Rand, to your point, with the addition of Quinshon Judkins and the way that he has emerged on the scene, You have the keys. You have the recipe. Dillon Gabriel, the huge compliment about him in his college career was he was there for so long, he saw it all, and he took good care of the football. You can trust that. Trust him with his weapons alongside with the defense that you have. Not saying you want to turn the ball over, but if you do, you've got a good defense that can get you the ball back. So to your point, Pete, just take the training wheels off. Let Dillon Gabriel go out there and be a starting quarterback in the National Football
Well, let's
League.
talk about those defenses right now, right? Two of the best defenses in the league. And the Browns, I felt, did a really good job in the beginning part of that game, setting up Daniel Gabriel with some of those turnovers. But, Pete, how would you grade both of these defenses in London today?
Well, I think, if you look at the Vikings, they do so many creative things. So what do you want to do to them? You want to run right at them. And the Browns did a great job of running right at them. They're not a big physical power defense, but they're very athletic. So the best way to attack that is use their running back, and they did it. And I thought that was a great plan by Kevin Stefanski. If they hadn't run the football, it could have been a problem because then it would have put more pressure on Gabriel. I love what the Browns do on defense. I mean, look, they're a great defense. The problem is they take the field every single week knowing that we might have to win this game.
I don't want to do that.
Happy birthday, Pete Prisco. I learned today that it is your birthday.
We don't celebrate that one.
Come on.
Go in the opposite direction.
One more question, Aran. I want you to put your GM cap on for this one. Jordan Addison with that game-winning touchdown, but he did sit out in the first quarter. He was held out, rather, for allegedly wanting to sightsee in London and maybe missing curfew. What do you think of that?
He's got to grow up. It's plain and simple. He has to grow up. You missed 3 games because you were suspended for an off-the-field incident. You came into the league with some quote-unquote baggage. At this point, you have to grow up. You have a long offseason. If you want to go back and sightsee in London, you have months to do that. And I believe this isn't the first time he's played in London. So at this point, I'm glad that he was able to regroup, get himself together, and be there when his team needed him most at the end of the game. But at this point, young man, you have to grow up and become a pro.
I bet he was sightseeing a few pints somewhere. He wasn't sightseeing. Give me a break.
You maybe want to see Big Ben. Come on.
Well, come on. Look, the bottom line is, and I'm with you, but
No, he was celebrating your birthday.
Yeah.
that's what it was. He was great.
That's all it was.
But these teams are great, though. Oh, we'll just sit them out for the first quarter. But we're not going to sit them out the whole game because
Because
they
you're trying
need
to win football games.
Yeah,
That's what.
But if you're Jordan Addison, you have to take that and understand you are a go-to guy. Listen, everybody knows 18 is going to be double covered. He's either going to get their best corner, he's going to be double covered, all the attention is going to be on 18. So you have got to be the guy that you know that they will come to you when 18 ain't open. And with that, you can't put yourself in a situation to where you're missing time, you're missing reps, you're missing snaps because of boneheaded off the field stuff that is completely controllable. So for him, it's about understanding how important he is to this team as a 1B to Justin Jefferson and being a guy that can be come to in the clutch and not missing opportunities early in the game or games, parts of the season, whatever you may have it.
I threw up a 2. Justin's the clear 1.
Well, okay, yes.
It isn't 1 and 1A.
Okay, wide receiver 2, Jordan Addison. I apologize. I misspoke. I did.
To y'all's point, coming off of a suspension, you got to be better. It's just his second game back. He can't be out sightseeing like that. And I would agree, he is a clear number 2. But it was nice to see Jefferson be opened up a little bit with Addison in the game. All right, that's going to do it for us. Big thanks to Pete and Ran.